Welcome back, everyone, to another installment of our step-by-step series here in Decisions. Today, we're talking about get text from PDF, a really powerful step that does just what you think it does. It takes the text from a PDF file and makes it usable in Decisions. So let's take a look at what that actually looks like here in a flow. I've got some of these built out. We'll take a look at some of the kind of knobs and levers of the step and some of the use cases as well. So with the get text from PDF step, you're going to have a couple of options here. You can preserve the white space, which we'll talk about here in a second, and you can choose to read all pages or not, specify which pages you want to read. The output will just be a string. So we're inputting file data and we're outputting a string. I've built this flow to kind of show the difference between that preserve white space and the other option of not preserving it. So bouncing between those two. I have a form where we're going to upload a PDF. I have two outputs here, not preserved string, and then I have another form with document viewer and two labels to show the difference of how that text comes out, whether you choose to preserve the white space or not. So let's take a look at it. So again, the first form I have on here is just a file upload. I have a number of PDFs on here, so let's go with example PDF. And as I hit OK, these are the main differences between the white space preserved and not preserved. It's going to remove or add line breaks. So this text over here is all just jargon text too. So a lot of this is kind of just jargon. But you can see that it did rip that text out of the PDF, right? So we have line breaks with white space preserved and no line breaks with white space not preserved, right? So what happens if we upload a PDF that is just mostly images? Can it still get that text off for you? And the answer is yes. So if I follow that process, I have another PDF on here called mostly images. And it will work the same way. Again, all this is just kind of jargon text over here. But it did rip that text off of this PDF, although it is mostly images. So it works really, really well to get that text. All right, so let's talk about a quick use case option you might have for get text from PDF. You might have a legacy system you are trying to convert over. You might have a ton of invoice data on PDF that you want to migrate into Decisions to manipulate that information or store it or do something with it. I've built a data structure to absorb information from an invoice. I have an invoice that has a ton of information on it, but we only want two fields just to keep it simple. We want the invoice number as a string and a total, which we are using a decimal. Although getting text from PDF is going to output strings. We'll talk about how to easily convert that string into a decimal so you can absorb it how you want to. I've have nothing in that structure right now. Notice, no data to display. Invoice information, number, total, both blank. But I built out a flow to kind of process that. So on this invoice data flow, I have a similar front end to the previous demonstration I just went through where we have a PDF file upload. We have a get text from PDF step with the white space preserved. We have a viewer just to see it in its raw text format. And then we have split string by new line. Why are we doing it this way? Because by new line is every time there's a line break, it's going to split the string. And if we use this preserve white space between each section on the PDF, it's going to give us that line break so that we can easily get a number of index item numbers and we can get the item. And then I am using split string to remove these fields that I might not need. So again, just to keep that data kind of raw. Let's look at it in the debugger because I think that gives us a better view of how this works. So when I go to debugger, I can run an invoice that I have here. And you'll see on the viewer in just a moment that this is a kind of complicated, big old invoice with imagery. Again, you might have had this from a legacy system. You want to move data over, something along those lines. But you'll notice that with the white space preserved, we're getting line breaks between these sections. So I'm able to count down and figure out where my invoice number is and count down and figure out where my total is to get that item index number. So when I do that, I can get the item by index. So again, when I split string by new line, I'm going to get a ton of different item index numbers. And again, I can count down to get subtotal and I can count down to get invoice number. I did those counts, 9 and 24 to get subtotals, So then when I go here, I go get item by index. We have this huge input file, but our output is just invoice number in a big section because that comes from the 9th item index right here. Same process for this one. Again, we take in that huge list of strings out of this, split it by new line, and then input it here, and we're outputting just item number 24. So when I do that, I can then split the string based on that information. So I can say, hey, we have invoice number. I'm going to split it right there at the symbol, and then I'll have invoice number and just the number that I want so that I can eventually map it in to that invoice number, total 36. And we're getting that from down here. Again, kind of a similar process. We're taking a huge amount of data. We're getting the item index, and then we're splitting that string, and we're getting, we're going from subtotal 36, and we're outputting just 36 as a decimal. And then we're creating that invoice information. So how did I convert that decimal, convert that string into a decimal? Super easily. I just ran a built-in converter here. So converters, string to decimal, and then I took split string to output the last half of it, because the first half of it's going to have what was before the money sign, and the last half of it will have just the total. So as I ran that process, again, it took in a pretty complicated PDF, and just by counting down 9 lines, counting down 24 lines, I was able to figure out what the item index for those values were, split them, and absorb the information. So now when I go back to that report, you'll notice I have that data populated from just a PDF. You could run this on a loop. You could iterate through a number of PDFs. You have a ton of options there. You could also, another great option might be, we just came out with these common AI tools. You could have common AI after this just kind of assess what the data that came out of that PDF is and kind of give you a summary or organize it in a way that AI can do. So there's just lots and lots of options there. But today, again, mainly we're just here to talk about the get text from PDF step in a concise way. So again, it's just up here, get text from PDF, if I could spell right there. Some more information. But again, it gives you the option to just pick specific pages or however you want to do it. Get text from PDF. Really great and powerful step. We talked about the knobs and levers on the inside. We talked about a use case. We kind of covered a lot of stuff. So thank you for tuning in. This was kind of a short and concise video, but hopefully it's something that you can use in your organization. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to training@decisions.com or support@decisions.com. So thank you very much.